2,848.
Okay.
How many apartment units?
How many apartment units?
A little over 3,100.
Okay, so that's roughly 5,000. Okay, so 6,000. Okay, so then to get to your number, you took the 6,000, divided it over a 10-year period against your budget, and then you also took your commercial property. And there are how many of those? I mean,
there's 250 commercial parcels, but commercial businesses, there'll be more.
Right, because different guy, he can own a whole shopping center or something like that. I think if the city made an attempt to go to the paper to point some of these things out. I've been a 31-year resident. I've also owned businesses. I've owned a lot of businesses in a lot of different areas. This is not that bad. But if you sit down and go home tonight and think about this, you might digest it. I mean, if I, as an individual, own one home, the mill goes down a little bit, this goes up a little bit, I mean, does anything stay the same in life? And does anything go down? I don't think so. So I think we're kind of railed up more than we should be. I think they're trying. I mean, I think your PR is bad. Not you. I think the city needs somebody that's a little bit more professional that should talk to people about what is actually going on, to keep people calm, to keep them in a positive manner, and when they leave, they go, well, you know what, maybe that's not too bad. I mean, I was successful in a lot of businesses for just talking to people. Arguing is not going to get you anywhere. I understand a business. Now, let's say if I was a Hy-Vee guy. All right,
you're not going to attract any large business.
No, I don't think if I was an Hy-Vee, I think the village guy had a good point, the restaurant guy. You know, it's going to be tough to bring the big guy in. But let me tell you something. The big guy passes all that on to you and me. So don't worry about the big guy. Just worry about yourself. Thank you.
Laura, may I?
Absolutely.
I have to address your comment about the taxes. Have you known Mission ever to turn down a sales tax? We're losing, we'll be sunsetting a 0.25%. How easy would it be to say, Mission residents, we'd like you to keep that sales tax going? I have to take exception to your statement that the sales tax won't pass.
Perhaps
The quarter will not.
it's just I have to say, we're going to get asked from something.
My guess is our whole point we'd agree to, because everybody that would be paying it. I know the business owners would have to add a little bit to their prices. And I'll pay it. The mayor will pay it. The microphone handler will pay it. And so will the league in Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Missouri.
I'll pay this tax too.
But in this political climate, I think passing the tax would be very difficult with the whole Tea Party movement and everything that's going on. I mean, it would be very difficult to pass any type of tax increase right now. That's the truth, I mean.
If I may.
Yes, sir.
I've been a party to Tea Party ever since Darla J stood outside of Dennis Moore's office 2.5 years ago in the code. I've been to almost all the rallies. This thing has to. I disagree with you. I'm done.
If you look at the check, does anybody know what this tax? Does anybody know what this tax will be for Target?
For Target, the number for Target is 46,886. 46,886.
Quite a hefty jump. But you know, like everyone else, they'll put the prices up.
And with Target, you have to remember that Target was able to get their property value increased prior to it was below what it was constructed for. So they're actually paying 1/3 less in property tax than they did 2 years ago. And their property tax bill right now is about $230,000. So it would have been over 300 just 2 years ago.
It's what one of these people said before, is as an individual, I'm retired, and I look after my business. And the business people here, and I can understand why, but they get paid more money, they put the prices up. But I also have the option to look somewhere else and buy somewhere else in another town. I mean, you see that every day. I've got friends who they live down in, they work down in Missouri, and they buy their gas down there, which is cheaper than buying it here. And that'll work. Once they see the price going up, they'll start to look for, do we shop here, Overland Park, Craven Village, or do we just go over to Missouri and shop in Missouri? You know? That's it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I know this is a much smaller scale, but over in Wyandotte County at the Legends, they had difficulty getting Nebraska Furniture Mart to pay their taxes, or they had a differing opinion on how much they would owe.
The value.
The value.
That's what Target did. They did the Nebraska Furniture Mart loophole by pushing their value, their box down.
What is the appeal? I mean, have representatives of Target or Hy-Vee or any of the larger other entities such as AT&T, or have they approached the city and contested their taxes?
Several have been coming and meeting with us to talk about, you know, what the rate would be, how it's determined, what the number of trips were. So yes.
Is this something that can be held up in court then for a certain time frame, or?
Possibly. Yeah. That's always a possibility. Yeah, I don't know that we'll have it on the website, but the businesses have already been coming in and meeting. I mean, the ones that have wanted to, all that, the information's available. And we had meetings last week with small businesses that appointments they could come in. A number of them have called in to get what their number is, and then.
So just call Martha.
Well, call Martha, and you'll probably meet with Mike Scanlon, or you'll meet with Laura Smith, or possibly Martin Riverola. So yes, all of that has been laid out. I did have a business owner at our meeting last week who said he didn't want me to come with sort of a list of whatever it was, because, you know, he didn't like necessarily that, but all that is out there, and obviously that's all public.
That businesses were being penalized for doing business in Mission. That was my very first impression. So I do think if you just called it something else, I think it would have gone off better.
Then the transportation utility fee?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was going to say Talk Radio's come up with another name for it, but I don't know that that's any better.
Perception is everything. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And I think that's what's, riling people is perception. I have a request to make. I do not take the Kansas City Star. I just discovered your website, which needs improvement. Newsletters, I wish you would date the newsletters for one thing, and not camouflage, for instance, the August 11 and 12 meetings in a place I didn't even notice it. Make things more prominent, especially community meetings. Question about how you notify residents who don't have the internet, don't take the Star. How do you notify them of public meetings?
Well, our special newsletter we mailed.
Okay, again, all the more reason to make meeting dates more prominent.
We mailed, and then also, and if you have an email, if you send me your email, I will make sure you're on the email so that you can also get that, things that we send out, you get electronically. But those are by putting things in the paper and then posting them, at the city buildings and using mail. Those are that's pretty much how we get the word out. A few of the tables that were there in August, there are some different neighborhood homes associations and things, and we made sure homes associations knew. And so there was one community that they have a neighborhood organization, and so a number of their residents were in June, but after they had their questions answered, they were kind of comfortable. And then one person came from their neighborhood to our meetings in August to kind of report back to that particular neighborhood. So while there was one person, there was emails going on amongst a much wider group. And I think that happened I can't say that happened in every instance, but I know that happened also with a couple.
And I might say, regarding the calendar on the website, that needs to be made more prominent, or meeting notices right on the homepage or something more prominent, because just to find a little word calendar at the top is not enough.
Okay.
And I tried importing the calendar events into my iCal. They all came in at 6 a.m. meeting times.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, maybe we can, those are things obviously we can continue to work on and to try to make it more user-friendly. And then several people have also suggested that we need some better PR, but that's just something we haven't added into our budget, but that clearly people have been want us to do, and so we'll do that. And that's part of why we're having these meetings. And we need to have more meetings to talk about sales tax to find out whether that's something that that'll pass. And we need people to help us with it too, because we do a lot of things with volunteers. Okay, can I ask you a question?
Okay, you said that the Lamar office is going to pay a big percentage of this.
The Johnson County offices?
Right. And the utility company?
AT&T?
Right. Now, who are they going to come back on to get their money back? Who's the county going to come back on, and who's AT&T going to come back on?
No.
Well, if it were the county and it went through the property tax, their property tax is assessed across 485,000 people. Whereas, as it is now, we end up subsidizing their road replacement because they're in our community. So in terms of who's paying, it would be all the Johnson County taxpayers instead of just the Mission taxpayers for that facility to be here.
And then I want to make a statement. I'm a resident of Mission. I don't even know what percentage of sales tax I pay whenever I shop. Then I do shop in Mission. I don't pay any attention to it. I own a business in DeSoto. The tax rate in DeSoto is 9.25, and it hasn't hurt my business at all. And I know when the state went up 1%, we ate it. We didn't raise our prices, we ate it.
Well,
and I operate on a 5% margin.
Okay, that's what, when we had the sales tax conversation in August, there were several business owners. Well, and one, he owns a small business in Mission, but he did comment that he doesn't pay any attention to what his sales tax rate is, but then there are others that do, which is why we have to have the continued conversation on the sales tax, which is something that council absolutely had said that's our next discussion item. But quite frankly, when there was then the big kind of furor with talk radio and this came up, we really felt having these kind of meetings to talk about the transportation utility fee was more important to talk about this now, knowing that we're going to continue that discussion with the sales tax.
Because I, as a resident, $72 is not great. I was